Giving all praise and glory to Yahweh, by Hashem Yahushai, by Hashem Rakakadash. Double honors to the elders of GMS. Also salutations to all the Akimount that is listening is true. And also shalom to the rest of the hopeful elect. All right, and this weekend we went to the Noah's Ark Museum, but also we went to the Underground Railroad Museum. And we wasn't able to do a lesson for that. So I'm going to tack on a couple precepts, all right, before you see the things that we recorded in the museum. You know, I don't really just like putting things up, uh, especially things like that. All right, and not have any scriptures, or something edifying to say through the scriptures. It's so I'm gonna start off with Baruch 4. All right, 4, and let's start from 12. It says, matter of fact, let's start from 10. It says, "For I saw the captivity of my sons and daughters, which the everlasting have brought upon them." Right, and that's what we seen in that museum. All right, we seen the punishment that Jake had to go through. All right, for disobeying Yahweh by Shem Yahushai. It says with joy did I nourish them, but sent them away with weeping and mourning. Right, and when you go into that, or when you watch the videos, all right, from the museum, all right, you will see, the atrocities that Jake went through. All right, and that's just the things that we know about. All right, it says, look, and we're still weeping and mourning. All right, from those things we never recovered. All right, from the things that happened to us during the time of slavery. Okay, we're still suffering from that. Matter of fact, it's a trauma gene that Esau speaks about, and only so-called Negroes carry it, or the ones that's descendants from slaves carry it. All right, you can look it up, and they say that it comes from trauma and basically slavery. It says, "Let no man rejoice over me, a widow and forsaken of many, who for the sins of my children I am left desolate, because they departed from the law of Yahweh. They knew not the statutes, nor walked in the way of his commandments, nor trod in the path of discipline and righteousness. Let them that dwell upon Zion come and remember ye the captivity of the sons and daughters, which everlasting have brought upon them." And you know what? A lot of people have forgot about the hell that Jake went through. All right, especially our people in general. All right, you got even so-called Negroes telling you, man, that's in the past, lead in the past. No, man, we sinned and we're still suffering from that. All right, it says, "For he have brought a nation upon them from far, a shameless nation." Right, and you're gonna see how shameless this devil is. All right, once you watch these videos, all right, or these clips. It says, "And of a strange language, neither reference the old nor pity the child." If you watch, or if you know about the alligator bait, right? When Esau would take the children, all right, and uh, 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 use the babies to hunt alligators. It says, and read that over again, "Who neither reference the old nor pity the child," right? And that's not pitying anyone. You'll take somebody, 1-year-old baby, and use them to hunt a alligator. It says, "These have carried away their dear beloved children of the widow, and left her that was destined alone without daughters." It says, "But what can I help you? For you have brought these plagues upon you, who will deliver you from the hands of your For he that brought these plagues upon you will deliver you from the hands of your enemies, and that's what we're waiting for. All right, we're waiting for Esau Edom to get his turn. All right, for the Lord to come take him down, because he has to drink of that cup too. He has to suffer for the things that he did. So let's grab this and y'all can watch these clips. It says, let's start from 21. Therefore, hear now this, thou afflicted, be drunken, but not with wine. For thus saith the Lord, and thou power that pleadeth the cause of his people, behold, I have taken out of thy hand the cup of trembling, even the dregs of the cup of fury, right? And that's coming soon. And thou shalt no more drink it again, but I will put it into the hand of them that afflict thee. See, so that's coming for them, which said to thou soul, bow down, that we may go over, and thou hast laid thy body as the ground. That was us. When you watch the stuff, or you understand the history of the so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans over here, you'll understand that our people was a doormat. All right, read that over again. And thou hast laid thy body as the ground, as the street to them that went over. All right. So with that, I'm gonna give all praise and glory to Yahweh, by Hashem Yahushai, by Hashem Rakakadash, the bond citadels of GMS. Also salutations to all the argument that is twisting this truth. Peace.
Out, but also inspire abolitionists to push harder for equal rights. At the same time, here and around the country, a vast system is emerging to free enslaved people: the Underground Railroad. This railroad is a network of people, not trains. Using the language of the industry as a metaphor, conductors guide freedom seekers on routes powered by secrecy, trust, and radical action. Individuals and families risk everything to escape enslavement. Those that help them risk their own safety and security, all in the pursuit of freedom. From ministers and writers, teachers and toolmakers, to sailors, farmers, and their children, these everyday activists spur the country towards fulfilling the ideals of freedom and equality. During the Civil War, the Union fights to preserve a united nation and dismantle the institution of slavery. After the war, many lawmakers worked to protect the rights of Black people by amending, ratifying, and enforcing changes to the Constitution. The years of Reconstruction bring hope. More Black people can vote, pursue an education, and participate in politics. But the fight for equality is unfinished. More than a century of racial injustice follows. Jim Crow laws and racial violence in the South drive the Great Migration to the North, where Black Americans find opportunities and build new networks to meet new challenges. Here in Cincinnati and beyond, the grassroots organizing and interracial activism of the Underground Railroad continue, empowering change.
Time is always right to do what is right.
Out of darkness can come light, and out of that light is the continuous work to improve.
Progress for some is not progress for all. We must be equally committed to ensuring that all citizens are treated equally.
What are we waiting? All of our stories need to be heard. No matter what color you are, what school you go to, what neighborhood you live in.
Being American is more than a pride we inherit. It's the past we step into and how we repair it.
What happened in this place matters. What happens in this place matters. How will you carry on this legacy of activism?
Today we're at the Cincinnati Underground Railroad Museum, and right here, all right, we have shackles with circular manacles, 1800s. All right. So I don't know if they're real or just a replica, but this one was put on Jake. These are supposed to be Muhammad Ali gloves. What's that you got right there?
This is a picture. You can take the pictures with it.
Okay.
Yeah, old school camera.
Right there.
Comes from the Ohio River to
Okay. Then they say where?
I said cross it to they crossed the Ohio River.
Uh-huh.
They say there's a free state of Ohio.
Oh,
You know
okay.
That's a lie.
Yeah. And we have this right here. Hold on. Say in this place. That's where part of the Underground Railroad was at. Get over here. Public shot. It's a map.
They dark skinned. Right.
What do you say?
You talking about the tribes, how they fled to each other. What's it called? It was dark skinned. Jake was fleeing all the time. Jake was going in overseas.
Okay, so what we have here is Slavery from Freedom. Right here. Right? Jake on the slave ships. I'll read some of it. It says, men and women opposed to slavery achieves freedom in at least two ways. First, they changed and enlarged a language of American life, giving a voice to human desire for freedom. Their words about freedom are still remembered today. Anti-slavery activists wrote pamphlets, books, and newspapers articles arguing freedom was indivisible and slavery morally wrong. Ambitionists organized public marches, demonstrations, economic boycotts, and supported legal suits in courts, elected anti-slavery representative and legislation, and helped escaping slaves of Underground Railroad. Some even gave their life to achieve freedom for all. Eventually, the Civil War put an end to slavery in the United States, right? And I guess these are some of the people that fought for the freedom of slavery, so-called, right? Jake and slavery right here. Hold on, let me back that up. Jake and slavery. All right, the Civil War. Jake fleeing. Right. Then we have this right here, you know, people that's buying slaves. See? That right there. Yep. Hey, who got something, man? Is they gonna bring it out or what?
First scripture I thought of, right, is Jeremiah 50. When it says the children of Judah. Let me read that. Because the first thing they brought up was the Native Americans.
Mm-hmm. Right downstairs.
Uh-huh. It says, is it 1533?
Yeah.
It says, you grab it because I'm on my phone.
This is Jeremiah 15:33. It says, "Thus saith the Lord of hosts, the children of Israel and the children of Judah were oppressed together."
See, they were oppressed together. So oppression, slavery, you know.
And all that took them captives held them fast. They refused to let them go.
Yeah, and other nations participated. Shit.
Right.
That's it.
Now, you have to go ahead.
Yep.
And you know this is scriptural. See the yoke of iron?
Yep.
You know?
This is Deuteronomy 28:64.
And the Lord shall scatter thee among all people from one end of the earth, even unto the other. And there thou shalt serve other gods, which neither thy fathers have known, even wood and stone. And among these nations shalt thou find no ease, neither shall the sole of thy foot have rest. But the Lord shall give thee there a trembling heart, and failing of eyes, and sorrow of mind. And you see the people depicted behind the brother, our people depicted behind us. Sorrow and crying. Yeah, a couple more seconds. And thy life shall hang in doubt before thee, and thou shalt fear day and night, and thou shalt have none assurance of thy life. In the morning thou shalt say, with the Most High it were even, and after the even thou shalt say, with the Most High it were morning. For the fear of thine heart wherewith thou shalt fear, and for the sight of thine eyes which thou shalt see.
Right. So read off some of these. Let's see. Go ahead.
Deuteronomy 28 to 48. It says, therefore shalt thou serve thine enemies, which the Lord Yahweh shall send against thee in hunger and in thirst and in nakedness and in want of all things. And he shall put a yoke of iron upon thy neck until he have destroyed thee.
Yep.
You see all this yoke of iron right here. And you can see it right here as well.
Yep, but they got ropes. That was the beginning stage. Before they got you on the plantation. See?
I got one. Still at Deuteronomy 28, jumping up to 41 to the point. Thou shalt beget sons and daughters, but thou shalt not enjoy them, for they shall go into captivity.
Yep. So we're going to stop this one. We'll start up another one in a second. Read this. It says the transatlantic slave trade, 1500 to 1886, was the largest forced migration of people across the international oceanic borders, one of the most horrific tragedies in human history. The trade, which brought millions to the Americas, was part of the long history of chattel bondage. At that time, Africa had no single common identity in the fact it was divided into warring nations and ethnic groups and families and clans.
Like everywhere else.
Yep. Compelled millions of unwilling Africans, or they were Israelites.
After 14.
Okay, Salakia. After 1492, Africa, Europe, Americas came into contact, and the result transformed the history of Europeans.
You came into contact with the tribe.
Mm-hmm.
That's the year that Christopher Columbus, right?
Yeah, 1492.
1492.
Yep.
Yeah,
go ahead.
It says Europeans compelled millions of unwilling Israelites to the Americas, and together they built new American societies and cultures. All the new American cultures that emerged after 1500 featured people of Israelite descent at the core of cultural, social, and economic development. While some Israelite people resisted, other Israelite nations, particularly along the coast, began capturing people in the interior of the continent and settling the Europeans, including the Portuguese, Spanish, Dutch, French, and English. And I'm gonna say something, which that's true to, both happened. Africans sold Israelites into slavery, and other Israelites sold Israelites into slavery as well, under threat. They didn't want to go into slavery, so they would try to give you somebody else, But then eventually they end up all going to slavery too. Same thing like what happened with Gad. Helping Esau against their, against their warring tribes. Anyway, it says, let's sit on that one.
We'll probably focus on this. Check it. All right, then they focus on the, some prominent Jakes, they came up during that time. What's his name? They always speak, they always speak of this dude.
Yeah, it's not our boy for credit. Roger.
They say he was Igbo village in northeastern Nigeria, West Africa. He states that he was kidnapped as a child, survived in arduous Middle Passage. Recent scholarship has suggested that perhaps Aquino was actually born in South Carolina and knew about West Africa and the Middle Passage from other enslaved people who survived it. Certainty Aquino was enslaved on a plantation in the West Indies, well, Jamaica, and Virginia, and later a captain of the Royal Navy bought Aquino as a present for his cousins in London. He then returned to North America as a slave, Quaker merchant. Aquino began sailing on various vessels as a merchant seaman and learning the ins and outs and trading goods. So Jake came up in society.
Yeah.
You know, you have others. What's that? Rum.
I never heard of that.
Right.
Marked by race and extreme neutrality.
Yeah, Phyllis Wheatley. Learned about her in school.
Yeah.
You know.
She was a writer, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it say.
A poet.
Yeah, a poet. All right. So let's move on. Another guy right there.
Yeah, I got Deuteronomy 28:68. That's what I told you came in. That's the first thing that popped in my head.
Deuteronomy 28:68. He said, "And the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt again with ships, and by the way I have spoken unto thee, thou shalt see it no more again, and they shall call thee sold unto your enemies for bondmen and bondwomen."
Let's see. Right, so look, they got Gad right there.
Yep.
Got Gad on the board.
This is showing all the. This is showing all the tribes, Native American tribes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Guess it's going to the sugar cane.
Yeah, Daisy over here.
So basically, they have all the tribes in here. They have all the tribes in here, man. Like the scripture you opened up, they was oppressed together.
These two prophets
Elephant's tail wrapped in barbed wire.
Hey, but why did Jake end up like? Because Jake was disobedient to the Most High. What's this?
That's an elephant's tail.
Elephant's tail.
Shit, that's
That's
terrible.
what they ripped the skin off Jake with, you know. And we got the shackles.
That's real arm, man.
Heavy. I got scripture real quick.
Go ahead.
Against your skin.
This is what you just said. This is Deuteronomy 28, verse 15. But it shall come to pass, if thou wilt not hearken unto the voice of the Lord thy power, to observe, to do all his commandments and the statutes which I command thee this day, that all these curses shall come upon thee and overtake thee.
Look at that. There you have it. That's how Jake ended up, you know, in this predicament. Right. Coffee and slavery. Okay.
For several hundred years, enslaved Africans and African Americans, often joined by Native Americans, mined the gold and silver.
So they had Gad over here in slavery too. Yep. It's I finished reading it. It says mine, gold and silver, planted, harvest, sugar cane, tobacco, dug ditches, constructed in the building, and all colonies established by Europe and European nations. Beginning in the Caribbean, Spanish, Portuguese societies were the first to organize around the plantation. Dutch, Danish, French, British, and American societies would follow and contribute to harvesting of cash crops, which led to enormous profits. Right? So, right here, the slave ships, they're going into the revolts of it. It says the death of the slave ships, because you know a lot of Jakes, you know, got thrown overboard.
They got a picture right there.
Oh, okay. You're right. Zoom in on that real quick. Right?
Sharks still travel the same pathway to this day.
Yep.
So many dead bodies.
Then going to the Dutch slave colonies.
I got the word soul in the book of Deuteronomy.
Go ahead.
Deuteronomy 28:68 says, "The Lord shall bring thee into Egypt again with ships. By the way thereof I spake unto thee, thou shalt see it no more again. There ye shall be sold unto your enemies for bondmen and bondwomen."
Oh, Jake done already brought that out, but it's cool.
I got that word sold in the blue letter it says to be given over to death.
Damn.
To be given over to death, and this is the death that we're given over to. And honestly, to be honest, in Revelation, talk about the dragon.
Well, couple scriptures, death represents slavery.
Slavery, yeah.
In the scriptures. See? All right. You can see the jewelry Jake was wearing on slavery. See what else they got right here. All right, nothing in there. What's that right there?
Jake was using this with money.
It says iron crosses and iron
crooks, I think. Crooks.
Manibas. It says were used as a form of currency during the transatlantic slave trade. These items were exchanged for other goods, including human beings.
Oh, this is. Oh, okay.
It's the mighty that we normally do this during the Passover. Yeah. Passover is like a remembrance of the Lord delivered us out of Egypt. But the Lord sent us back into Egypt because of our iniquities.
The Lord shall send thee back what? Egypt again on ships. This is slaves and sugar.
That's why they call it candy land.
You're right. Right. And the Django.
Played by what's his name?
Leonardo DiCaprio.
Sugarcane was the most cash crop grown by slaves in the Caribbean islands, as well as the parts of Florida and southern Louisiana. Millions of slaves produced countless wealth for sugarcane. Countless wealth. They still profiting off this wealth today. Countless wealth for sugarcane plantation owners. For centuries, sugars were processed in large and small cones, as the two you see here.
Yep.
Compressed.
All right. So you have the British and the Sugar Islands. You see?
Yeah, check this out. This would probably be some slave garments that Jake wore.
It was.
If you notice,
look at trousers.
Look at that button pattern. And tell me, do that look familiar? Yep. Levi Strauss came out with the 501 jeans, the butterfly fit, and Jake probably made them.
I got a preset.
Go ahead.
Leviticus. Yeah, Leviticus 26 and 15. It says, and if ye shall despise my statutes, or if your soul abhor my judgments, so that you will not do all my commandments, but that you break my covenant, I also will do this unto you. I will even appoint over you terror, consumption, and the burning egg that shall consume the eyes and cause sorrow of heart. And ye shall sow your seed in vain, for your enemies shall eat it.
Yeah. See, you can't write the story about slavery without Gad, right? Since tobacco was a Native American plant, and no one in Europe knew about it until Christopher Columbus in 1492. The Native Americans had used tobacco for spiritual rituals, concluding treaties and paths of worship. When some Europeans first saw Native Americans smoking tobacco, they thought the Indian people were eating fire. Right? So here we go right here. You know, the pipe and the tobacco also, they have stuff up here, you know, them drying out the tobacco.
They got rice.
Right.
We just read it. It said that you will sow your seed in vain. The enemies was profiting off our blessing.
You know, slavery in British North America. All right. Let's see. It says slave traders, plantation owners, and slave people. Have you had an opportunity to listen to the stories of people from different walks of life who are involved in one way or another in the institution of slavery? All right. Should be able to press this and speak.
There will always be a subject of humiliating reflection to me, that I was once an active instrument in the business of which my heart now shudders. My headstrong passions and follies plunged me in early life into a succession of difficulties and hardships, which at length reduced me to seek a refuge among the natives of Africa. There, for about the space of 18 months, I was in effect, though without the name, a captive and slave myself, and was depressed to the lowest degree of human dependence. The slave trade was always unjustifiable, but inattention and interest prevented for a time.
And this is John Newton speaking.
From being perceived. It is otherwise at present. The mischiefs and evils.
I ain't gonna listen to all that, but you have the mulberry plantation near Charleston in South Carolina. So they was making all kind of money off Jake. All kind of money. Right, this is what they use for the mulberry tree.
These insects carry diseases like malaria, yellow fever, and made their homes in the rice-growing areas for reasons like the death rates were very high in rice plantations.
Yeah.
What did they say?
Yeah. Mary got I got her sitting because she was
All right, they got it spin the wheel, and it's going into
mosquitoes are the leading cause of death.
when it was settled, the total population and slave population. So enslaved was 2%. Let's go. Ooh, man, Georgia 45%. Damn, South Carolina 61. North Carolina 35. Maryland 32. Virginia 42. Pennsylvania 2. New Jersey 7. Delaware 5. See, so it was slavery up north too, like how they try to, push that bullshit. Yeah, they were free.
What are you saying? Slave population was
Yeah, but
20,000 people.
it was in this part of the north. They hadn't conquered it. They had no.
Well,
but yeah, all that. Oh yeah, all that shit was slave.
New York
folks.
was 20,000.
Yeah.
Bro. Look how small New York is, bro.
Yeah.
20,000 people.
Connecticut,
6,000.
Rhode Island. I think you went through that. Right here, all right, about to go into this room, and it's about to go into the Declaration of Independence. All right. Matter of fact, let's read some of this. It says, contradiction. The final declaration did not mention slavery, but at the because know why? It wasn't for Jake. It wasn't with Jake. That's why it wasn't mentioned. The Declaration of Independence is not for Jake. All right. So when you celebrate the 4th of July, all right, you really celebrate your slavery. It wasn't meant for you. It says the very end, Jefferson complained, and the king had excited domestic insurrection against us. This was a reference to the British and policy recruiting slaves in Virginia to serve in Lord Morris African regiment. Ironically, Jefferson proclaimed the right of the Americans to begin an insurrection against the British to gain the liberty, but condemned the British for giving liberty to slaves. By Englishmen who read Declaration agreed that the English literary figure Samuel Johnson, who wondered how is it that we hear the loudest yeps for liberty among the drivers of Negroes. So he was saying they were hypocrites, right? Because know what? They viewed Jake as 3/5 of a man.
Yep.
You know?
And also, let's say, it said Americans began to insurrection against the British to gain their liberty, but the liberty means to be free.
Yeah.
That was the arrival of the horn that came from the 8th.
Mm-hmm. Kind. So right here, right, you have the Declaration of Independence. We the people. Hold on, who signed the Declaration of Independence?
There was a lot of them. Thomas Jefferson.
Okay.
John Hancock.
Oh, that spoke it up. The 3/5 of a man.
Almost all the delegates agreed that representation in the new register is based at least in part on the population portion in this school. And the kind of this southern states wanted to count all people in their states, including slaves. The northern states did not want to count slaves at all. And Virginia, the most populous state in the nation, is now 40% of the residents were slaves. In South America, the percentage was close to 50%. The slaves were counted for representation. Then the South would control the House of Representatives. As long as these three people were counted, then the North would have overwhelming power in the House. Eventually, after many heated debates, the delegates agreed on the 3/5 clause. The 3/5 clause is often misunderstood. The clause says the representation in the House will be determined by counting of all three people and 3/5 of all other persons. The other persons were slaves. Important to understand, this is not about race, as free blacks were counted on the same basis as whites.
No, it's written as written. It ain't misunderstood. Yeah, Jake is being 3. See, these devils, man. They got some nerve.
It was a compromise because they didn't want them to have all that power. 3/5 of all other persons. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I got to say other persons. Yeah. Hey, when you said we signed the Declaration of Independence, it was right there when you said
the
Declaration of Independence right there.
Can't really see it though.
Yep.
Horrible. And like I was saying, hey, you can't have speak about slavery without Gad.
Yep.
Because now we go over here, which we went to, we went to Lafayette already. And it's actually a statue in Indianapolis that's actually what I'm looking for. Yeah, no, in Indianapolis. It commemorates this war. Yeah, that statue is in the middle of Indy.
Yeah.
It's called the Battle of the Indians. Right.
Remember in Daniel 7, one of the major wars that happened for America to get this land was the French and Indian War.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
But this guy right here, him and his brother, the prophet, which he was known as the prophet, they was giving hell in Indiana. You know, they had a very big battle, which we already went to that museum too. But man, they was giving Esau hell. And this dude, they got him downtown too in Indy, near the statue. And he got his own little statue.
Who's the president?
No,
No.
Oh yeah, Benjamin Harrison.
No, it's William Henry Harrison.
You know, he was like
born in Virginia. He was a father.
He was like a general.
Yeah, first. Yeah. So they got an old picture.
No. He was a president. He say he was elected ninth president.
Okay, come on.
1840, but died. All right, so that is
Battle of Tippecanoe.
Right.
Yeah, Tippecanoe County is in Lafayette.
That's where the museum
is. Tippecanoe County.
That's the museum is.
Yep, Tippecanoe County.
Yeah, we went there. Last year.
Yeah.
Hey, that's back when we were talking about in the camp. In ancient time, in the past, the presidents used to serve in the service.
Yeah. No, they actually fought.
Yeah.
Right. So, matter of fact, these the same dates that have on that statue too. First Nations or American Indians during the Revolution era. If we was to go to that statue downtown, it'll show these same dates of these different wars that took place. All right, with Gad. So look, you can't have, like I was saying earlier, American history without Gad. Then it speaks about Gad in the early republic. You know, or somewhat having a voice. You know.
It's mighty because they call it black history, right? But when you want to say the word black, a negative connotation of. So this is a negative connotation of our.
They going to the free black communities. It says New England and the Middle Atlantic states always had a small population of free African people during the Revolutionary era. You know what? I'm gonna say this: up north, all right. Before America was actually established, you had a lot of free jakes, or what they call mulattoes. But then you had, I can show you 12 years of slavery. You know, some of them had, so-called masters, but you had some that was just actually free. You know, And they had families and, you know, all these different things, man. So it says the era Afro-American urban communities grew dramatically as more states began to pass gradual abolition laws. Black churches, schools, benevolent societies, and other institutions were essential in aiding the runaway to escape to remain free. These three Afro-Negroes were key individuals and made a distinct contribution to Revolutionary, which got Absalom Jones, John Gia, and James Forten. Right. And this is going into the Revolutionary era, right here. And this is more of, you know, the Emancipation Proclamation. And the background to American Revolution. So more. So, hey, this is a very edifying museum and trip that we took this weekend.
Right after that, I got sold again to Westcott. That overseer with this people flat out on the ground. I saw folks cut up like me. Like I bought and sold so many times. Brad just gave it a chance at God.
All right, so this guy, he was anti-slavery, William Lloyd Garrison. He was anti-slavery. Anti-slavery press. Here you see some famous illustrations from abolitionists and books and newspapers. The killing of the abolitionists. Illuminated the stories of Elijah Parrish Lovejoy, 1802-1837. Lovejoy was an aggressive opponent of slavery who gave his life an anti-slavery clause. Lovejoy attended the Water College, first became a school teacher. However, he experienced a religious conversion and studied at Princeton. Okay. See, here go some of the articles, you know. And him again, Lloyd Garrison. What's this over here? All right, the abolition movement, which these so-called Caucasians, all right, that was supposed to be fight for freedom.
Frederick
You know,
Douglass, face of that shit. He was taught in the schools and shit.
right? Frederick Douglass, of course.
Of course, you know.
Now, I don't know about this guy. I'm a Reverend J.W. Le Guin, and escaped from slavery and then help others gain their freedom. Like others of my race, I was once considered property. Right, so she hated slavery. She was anti-slavery. You know, they got the church, the pulpits. Look at this. It's a nice Bible. Mary Rankin, Reverend John Rankin, born in Eastern Tennessee, 1973. Family that strongly opposed the institution of slavery. Like, it's so much to there's a ton of information, man.
It's overwhelming. The evidence is overwhelming.
Ton of information.
What they did to us, but it makes perfect sense.
All right, his parents escaped by ship in New York City when he was a small child. He grew up there. 1839, Ward became an agent for American Anti-Slavery Society. Right, he was a Benjamite.
God. Sammy Ring.
Yeah. All right, you got the Iron Pot, Jake Hughes in slavery. I'll say that this is a nice put together museum, man. See, but and hey, Dad, like it says, in the book, what's the name, Habakkuk, speaks about the image, not the image, but shameful spewing.
Shameful spewing, God.
Shameful spewing.
It's the shameful gifts of
Right, and you got a whole.
That's why Black history, like they don't mean it that way, but Black means what? Negative connotation.
Yeah.
It's the negative connotation of America, but
Portrait
it has to
of runaway slaves. More people. That was I think they were against slavery. Yep. Oh, no, this is a Jake. He purchased his own slavery. Purchased his own freedom. Devised one of the most dramatic escapes from slavery, William Craft. Okay. And Ellen Craft. Okay. Another display, cotton plantation in Mississippi. Slavery and status. Only slaves was a sign of wealth. Status among men, yet women, yet in the southern states, most white men did not own slaves. Well, owning slaves was a sign of wealth, status among white men and women, yet in southern states, most white men did not own slaves. Even those who owned slaves generally held less than 5 people in bondage. Only a small number of the wealthiest men owned many slaves, meaning over 100. On the Caribbean islands, very wealthy families owned thousands of slaves. Eternal slave trades and cruelties of slave. I think they're lying about that. But anyways, physical brutalities and whippings. Punishment made slavery a barbaric institution, and plantations required many pits of anger and resistance and punishment, even sex exploitation. Yet slavery tied up so much wealth, and most slaveholders face economic ruin if they gave up their slaves. All right. Thomas Sanders, a lot of these people I never heard of. These was people that was against slavery. Right? Alright, then you got eternal slave trade moving blacks westward. Expansion of slavery. Let's read this. It says 1878. Between 1790 and 1860, the number of people enslaved in America grew from approximately 790,000 to 4 million. The first 20 years after the Constitution was ratified, the transatlantic slave trade continued after 1809. The only legal slave traders was the scholars called domestic slave trades or eternal slave trade, because no more people could legally be sold in the U.S. from another country. By 1800, African people have lived primarily on the East Coast, mostly between Maryland, Florida, some nearly 200 years. However, after the Revolution, many white Americans began to move westward, the Old Southwest, which became states in Alabama, Mississippi, Western Florida, Arkansas, Missouri, and Louisiana. All right, then they got this cotton. Right, cotton is king. You already know they made a lot of money off cotton. A lot of this you might have to just pause and read it while you're watching the video. Slave fugitives. That's the slave rescuers. Abolitionists. Alright, now this is going into the slave quarters. How Jake lived. Kitchen ball. Let's see. Let's check out a few words. Let's listen to. Hold on.
Children, where there is so much racket, there must be something out of kilter. I think that twixt the Negroes of the South and the women of the North all talking about rights, the white men will be in a fix pretty soon. But what's all this here talking about? That man over there says that women need to be helped into carriages and lifted over ditches, and to have the best place everywhere. Nobody ever helps me into carriages or over buffaloes, or gives me any best place. And ain't I a woman? Look at me. Look at my arms. I have plowed and planted and gathered into farms, and no man could help me. And ain't I a woman? I could work as much and eat as much as a man when I could get it, and bear the lash as well. And ain't I a woman? I have borne 13 children, and seen most all sold out to slavery. And when I cried out with my
that's the Joe Cho speaking.
none but Jesus heard me. And ain't I a
Some
woman?
Jake used to have. Kitchen ball. No, Jake still like to have a good time. Jake make the best time out of a worst time. You know, it was here, and this was the worst time of Jake. You know, us falling like this as a people. You know, the family structure being broken up. Say it again.
Said exactly.
Say it again.
Yeah, the guy opened up this chief.
What did you say?
He said he basically opened up with the scripture. Get that scripture.
They darken the earth.
He didn't quote it verbatim, but that's basically what he said.
Bright skies.
In his opening statement about Esau. Well, you got it.
This is Psalms 55 and 20, and it says, "He hath put forth his hands against such as be at peace with him."
Right.
He hath broken
He said, I try to live in peace with the white man, but he's still our cattle and our horses.
It says, "He hath broken his covenant.
Mm-hmm.
The words of his mouth were smoother than butter, but war was in his heart."
And that was his opening statement. in essence.
You know?
It says, just finish it off.
Go ahead.
His words were softer than oil, yet were they drawn swords.
Yeah, because when you read about this chief, right, Mushla Tubi, it says he distinguished himself as a great Choctaw leader, all right? It says he was confronted with numerous treaties by the United States government, always giving away more land.
Okay, so the devil comes not but what? To steal, and destroy. Like I said in the story back to Gad, right? See, they call this a Black History Museum. This is an Israelite museum.
Yeah.
They got all the tribes in here.
Yeah, all the tribes.
Yep. They're all the tribes, man. Right? Right, so this is Gad right here. They're showing Gad. Hold on.
They even got our pyro.
So Kuya. Yes, clear. Like a broken Hebrew.
Yeah.
The civilized tribes had African Americans.
Who they determined was the
Right.
civilized tribes.
Now right here, this is going into the Trail of Tears. You know, what Reuben basically went through the Trail of Tears.
Which there was many, various Trail of Tears.
You know, yeah, this is just the one that's told or that's spoke about, right? And you got Gad up there, which is my tribe.
That's the Tecumseh again.
What'd you say?
That's the
Oh yeah,
Tecumseh.
no, that might be.
No, Osceola.
Yeah, no, that's not Tecumseh.
Okay. But it's the dress. She's the Tecumseh.
Yeah. You know what? I'm pretty much Tecumseh was probably Reuben, was he was just giving Esau hell. He gave Esau pure hell, bro. They ain't just conquered him. Them was Reubenites, man.
Oh, remember what they said about him? Esau, he was like, man, this is the best army I faced. He said they well equipped. They better than my soldiers. Had better equipment and everything.
See?
That's what that Devil Harrison said.
Yep.
It's like I ain't know you still.
Oh, I need to be said.
in the spirit too.
Go.
You say John Jack was owned by a shoemaker.
Hold on, let me.
John Jack was owned by a shoemaker, Benjamin Barron, in Concord, Massachusetts. He was able to buy his own freedom. Before his death on March 17, 1773, he wrote his own epitaph. This epitaph was reprinted in the Boston and London papers and used many anti-slavery activists in their debates. God,
Go ahead.
The
epitaph is a short or commemorative text in verse or prose inscribed on the tombstone, plaque, or memorial to honor a deceased individual.
So he wrote his own obituary in a sense. But this is basically like a poem. It says, God wills us free. Man wills us slaves. God's will be done. Here lies the body of John Jack, native of Africa, who died March 1773. Aged about 60 years, though born in the land of slavery, he was born free. Though he lived in the land of liberty, he lived a slave. Till by his honest, though stolen labors, he acquired the source of slavery, which gave him his freedom. Though not long before, death, the grand tyrant, gave him his final emancipation and put him on a footing with kings. Though a slave to vice, he practiced those virtues without which kings are but slaves.
There's that. So now you got the railroad of Harriet Jacobs, right? So got Jake Haddon, you know. Yeah, this one.
The United States, I'm going to read question 2. The United States passed 2 future slave laws in its history. What were the 2 years when these acts were passed? Answer, 1793 and 1850.
Okay. You do 10.
10. What compromise drew a dividing line between free states and slave states? The 3/5 compromise. Oh, the Missouri Compromise of 1820.
Okay.
Okay.
Right here you have the life of Dred Scott.
Mm-hmm.
Cushing. So the repercussions of Dred Scott. The Dred Scott case would have many repercussions, especially in the North. Many Northerners were shook and angered by the decision of the U.S. Supreme Court. Abraham Lincoln, who particularly effective in criticizing a decision used to gain support by the New Republic Party. Right, and this is Dred Scott right here, down here at the bottom. Says, let me see. Trying to see what was Dred Scott known for. Dred Scott. Hold on. Oh, okay.
Here's the story of John Jack. Right.
During Scott's stay at Fort Smiley, Scott met Mary Harriet Robin, also a slave. They later two had children. Presidents that were anti-slavery, or no, the first 15 presidents in slavery. All right, so they just showing the quotes. Let's see this devil.
For sure.
Yeah.
Slave owner, yes, he passed away. There were over 300 slaves on his estate.
Mm-hmm. This is quote on slavery. It says, I never mean, unless some peculiar circumstances should compel me to it, to possess another slave by purchase. It being among my first wishes to see some plan adopted by the legislation by which slavery in this country may be abolished by slow, sure, and imperceptible degrees.
Right.
I thought you were going to say something crazy.
Oh, this is the westward expansion timeline.
Slavery, yeah. Jackson was about 150 slaves. As far as liberty can be extended to these unfortunate creatures for them I wish you could do so. Subordination must be
Right.
achieved first and then.
Of course, the anti-slavery area. Harold Beecher Stowe. You got Frederick Douglass, which I heard of John Brown before. He was anti-slavery. Of course, I try to present him as being anti-slavery, but he only freed the slaves. First of all, the Most High wanted them to, right? But also, it was a political move, See? Then it's going into the Civil War. The Emancipation Proclamation. United States Army generals for the Civil War, weapons, you see, the outfits.
Statistic? You meant what?
What?
The Union should have never won the war.
Okay.
Based on numbers, the Union should not have won.
Interesting.
If they're going by numbers only.
Okay, the debate over the colored troops. Jake, that was in the Civil War. There's a lot of information. Oh, they had a Civil War Council, the Indian country. Look at that. Attention, Indian fighters. Yeah, it's almost, they be trying to write Gad out of history, man. And even though the Emancipation was signed, Jake wasn't directly free. You still had a lot of Jakes that was in captivity. Even after the Emancipation was signed or whatever. Right? Got first inaugural address by President Abraham Lincoln. Second one, and the words of Abraham. All right, so let's go through this final abolition of slavery. Although President Lincoln released the Emancipation Proclamation in 1863 in the middle of the Civil War, that was only the beginning of the end of slavery. The proclamation did make it clear that the U.S. Army was fighting a war of liberation. Slavery continued in border states, like I was saying, Kentucky, Missouri, Maryland, Delaware, and Confederacy until after its armies had surrendered to U.S. troops. Slavery was not legally dead until the passage of the 13th Amendment to the U.S. and Constitution in 1865. This illustration appears in Harper's Weekly magazine. This right here, look, they was coming back to get their slaves. They was mad, man. See, you got Jake free. Look at that, right? No. Just Jake free. That when Jake, got out of slavery, Jake didn't have shit. Then they passed, vagrant laws, that if you wasn't working or you didn't have nowhere to live, you know, they can take you to prison. And that's the way how they got, you know, slavery out of you, or legalized slavery. And that still goes on now through the prison system. Right. Okay, let's slow down, right? Then they got the legal marriages and findings, the Afro-American elected officials, women's suffrage after the, what's that? I think the 15th Amendment. Indian country after the Civil War, right? Like I said, it's hard to not speak on Gad, man. All right? Hard to not speak on Gad, right? And then, you know, once Jake got out of slavery, guess what? Jake had to worry about these niggas, man. You know, the Ku Klux Klan road replica. Look at that. Jake was continued terrorized. Hey man, Esau, hey, whoever put this together, hey, they ain't miss with this, man. You know, they didn't miss. Right, and we still got like another floor to go to. Right, now we're in this area. Looking, you know, roll Jordan roll. Like the brother said, this is the song they were singing in 12 Years of Slavery. The guy was singing. Swing a Low Sweet Chariot. Biblical songs of salvation. Biblical stories found their way into many African American songs. And that's simply because we're the Israelites, right? That's in, I used to sing this in church, you know? Jake and the Jubilee Singers, they went on tour. I think they might have played this song on Rosewood too. They played this on Rosewood.
The blues started in where's Grand Rapids? That's Tennessee. Mm-hmm. It's Grand Rapids.
I think.
Yeah, because most of these singers started their careers in Tennessee.
Mm.
You know, Jake and he started mad. Jake was there first.
Okay, say scroll down. All right. This is some of the Negro spirituals. Oh, I guess you gotta. Yeah, you gotta listen to it with the mic right here. Pretty cool. What's that scripture? They wept. I think it's should be in song. Put it in Babylon. Should pop up in Psalms. Can't quote it verbatim. I ain't brought it out in a long time. Go to Psalms. Yeah. Right? Right here. Psalms 137 and 1. Read that.
It said, by the rivers of Babylon, there we sat down, yea, we wept, we will remember Zion. When we remembered Zion.
Oh, yeah.
We hanged our harps upon the willows in the midst thereof. For there they that carried us away captive required of us a song.
See?
and they that wasted us required of us mirth, saying, sing us one of the songs of Zion.
Go ahead.
It says, how shall we sing the Lord's song in a strange land? If I forget thee, O Jerusalem, let my right hand forget her cunning. It said, if I do not remember thee, let my tongue cleave to the roof of my mouth, if I prefer not Jerusalem above my chief joy. He said, remember, O Lord, the children of Edom in the day of Jerusalem, who said, raise it, even to the foundations thereof.
Because that means erase it. But they required of us that song, you know. Us to sing, dance, you know. You know.
Yeah. I got some. What was it you got? Psalm what? 137. It's Psalm 98 and 1. It says, sing unto the Lord a new song, for he hath done marvelous things. His right hand is holy, and arm hath gotten him the victory.
Right, that's the song we singing now.
Yep. And
the song of truth.
Yeah, and Jake, they even say, like in the slave in the fields, man, they sung and they sang messages through the like hidden parables. Right? You know, same like what we're doing now.
Have right here is invisible slavery today. Right? What? Y'all going?
No way.
All right. No, y'all wasn't in the way. Right? And they're talking about, you know, sex trafficking, stuff like that. You know? See, you can see it's filled with Jake in here. Right. Slavery's condition or trafficking. Nick, cause hey, that's what this place was built on, you know? That's what this place was built on, man. Child sex trafficking, because it links up with the hill, because it started off with Jake, you know, being trafficked. We was the first traffic. All right, it was on cargo slave ships. See? There's a lot of people in this area. So, go over here. Well, and it's just a sex trafficking area.
They make up a growing population of women who are trapped in the global game of sex slavery.
And I know y'all heard about KFC. That's kind of like
A little bit more. So let's go over here and see what they have. Right, which is a show they have. You can come here, sit for a couple minutes, and watch whatever show that they have. This is going into the sex trafficking. So what we have here is a slave quarter house. What a slave quarter house would look like. The manifest enslaved Africans in America. The slave transportation, enslaved people within the United States became business, and slaves. What's up?
Yeah, it's an entrance. This is where the people slaves come up.
Okay.
Yeah, in the that's in the prison.
Oh,
slave pen.
so it's not a slave quarter.
That's a slave pen.
Slave pen. Oh, look at that. All right, I thought it was. Oh. All right, so we got the chains laying down. Some kind of box over there. All right, so this is, oh, see that thing right there? At the top? Right.
Smallest population has the most slaves on
What a fact.
The fucking page just pissed me off.
Huh?
Yeah, they got horrible fruit.
Bruce Getman, the architect, David Gilgan, restoration expert, and this wonderful gift given to us by Raymond Evans. Documents lives lost, memories untold, stories yet to be digested.
Let's see the economic impact, which we've seen something similar to that upstairs. Relationships, the eternal slave trade destroyed black communities that went back several generations during weeks of March and several months. Resistance and runaways, and slave trade routes. So this is the Underground Railroad.
You get chased by the dogs, in the water, it'll throw them off the scent. Now you see a farmhouse with a candle burning in the window. Heard that means people there gonna help you.
All right, this would be I guess a house. You know, they would go, yeah, right, they would have like a light in the window. Or maybe like a cloth out there, you know. Or a certain color cloth. I think I'm supposed to open that, so leave that alone. You can see they have secret little spots. Yeah. See? You got the hat. And then they will have secret passwords and codes, stuff like that. See? Deposit letter using coded words. See? We use goods a lot. Goods. Good of kind. So Jake was smart. Jake had to, you know, be smart to be safe. Go ahead, put that in here. We ain't gonna use that. I doubt if we do a Western jig, so. Alright. The Crow Flies, Jim Crow. Going into the history.
Where you are?
Alright. Oh, look at that. And that Turner Rebellion. Let me back up a little bit more. Zoom this in. That Turner Rebellion. Boom, boom. Right. You got the missioners, you know, just people that play roles in the Underground Railroad, or the destruction of so-called slavery, or not so-called slavery, but the destruction of slavery. Same thing. Horrible. There's a lot. You bet. Oh, I still got it. Okay, that's better. Of course, lady they speak about the most, Harriet Tubman. Or runaways met in barbershops. The runaway pilot elected official. Yeah, most part, hey man. Good trip.